What is up, guys? It's Nate, your host of the Kings of Concacaf podcast, where we highlight all things U.S. men's national team. Today, we're going to be talking about the game against Panama. This is right after I'm recording it, about 5 minutes after the game, and honestly, I am not necessarily in shock, but I'm very upset about how, that game went. So we're gonna kind of break it down, get my take on it, and just some of the things that I think went wrong, the little that I think went well, and just kind of an all-around recap of what happened. So to start off, my thoughts pre-match. First of all that I have written down in my notes is that I hate this lineup. I mean, honestly, it's one of the worst lineups Greg has ever put out, and that's saying quite a lot considering, some of the lineups that he's put out in the past. So, to start the first half, obviously, as many of you I'm sure have experienced, was that we started off extremely slow. I mean, it was just bad. There was no positives in the first probably 5-10 minutes. It was just bad. I mean, Acosta gave the ball 3 times within the first 10 minutes. Musa was caught in possession twice in the first 12-13. Walker Zimmerman was forcing everything over the top. I mean, he got the ball, put his head down, and just kicked it. It looked like a high school game. It's like kick and run. I mean, it was just bad. No creativity, no fluidity, there was nothing. It was just so bad in every way. I mean, almost everyone was forcing, like, just about everyone on the team was forcing. I mean, I keep saying that, I'm repeating myself. I've said forcing about 6 times in the last 30 seconds, but I mean, you have guys just playing balls over the top to no one. I mean, you have Areola, who is, I don't even know, 5'8". It's like he's not going to win any ball over the top. You have Zardes, who, I mean, gets bodied by guys that are like 2-3 inches shorter than him. I mean, it's bad. And then Tim Weah, I mean, he didn't do that much today. So, and he's not that type of player either. He's not winning aerial duels. He's not playing with the ball with the goal to his back. He's playing, beating men, taking guys on. So, honestly, it was bad. I just yeah. Honestly, that's all I have to say. It was really bad. In the 34th minute, I had noted that there was a bad touch by Acosta, turned into a counterattack. Great 1v1 save by Matt Turner. Ended up not even mattering because the Panama player was offside, but it was great save, but Acosta has to be much cleaner there. He can't give the ball up and then force Turner to make a save like that. Like I said before, Weah was very quiet, especially in the first half. I mean, the whole game he was pretty quiet, but especially in the first half. Zardes was very quiet. I mean, I think he had 11 touches in the first half, which is bad, and 11 touches seems high to me. That's like how little he was involved into the game. And then to wrap up the first half, Matt Turner was forced to make a great save because of a turnover by him. He had gotten the ball back like as a back pass, and then he rushed it and kicked it, and then had to make a good save. Tipped it over the bar, ended up, being fine. But yeah. So then moving on to the second half, I was shocked by the Musa substitution. I mean, obviously Tyler Adams is coming on, which is good, but you see how well that him and Adams played in the first game, and you take him out for Musa. I mean, Musa, to be fair, wasn't playing super well, but I don't know. I think Adams just brings out the best in players, so having them in the midfield would have been much better. I mean, Acosta had a terrible game. Leggett had a terrible game. So, I mean, Musa was the best of the three. I mean, not by much, but I wouldn't say Musa had a terrible game. I just said he would have a below average game. So I think that Musa coming off was just a stupid choice. I mean, I can understand the fact that giving him some rest maybe, but I don't know. It just seems like Greg just doesn't ever make basically a good substitution. But that's besides the point. Um, when Adams and Aronson did come in, they had an instant impact. I mean that which was good. I think that was a positive in that aspect. I just have noticed Tyler Adams is so good, and it's true. I mean, he came in and immediately became like the floor general, or the of the pitch general, whatever you want to call it. Um, he's just makes everyone better, and I think Tyler Adams, he's not the type of player that's scoring goals or even necessarily giving out assists. He's just the guy that does all the dirty work. He puts in tackles. He, follows guys into the box that are, making runs. He does all the things that no one else wants to do, and he does them extremely well. So, um, he may be the MVP of the team in the future. I mean, obviously, you have Pepe scoring, you have Aronson scoring, assisting. And then when Pulisic and Reyna come back, I'm sure they'll be scoring, assisting, and you got Weston. You have all these guys that have played extremely well for the team, but Adams does everything that no one else wants to do, and that really helps us in the long run. I mean, he's the backbone of this team, and you just see, you know, what he can do when he comes on. I mean, obviously they ended up conceding, but it was not Tyler Adams' fault at all. I mean, he honestly only does good when he comes on. 54th minute, goal scored off the corner. Panama scores off the corner. Did come off Zardes. Would that have really changed it if it didn't come off Zardes? I don't know. Probably not. Just me trying to put the blame on Zardes because he had such a bad game. I don't know why he was even playing in the first place. So, but in reality, it probably would have mattered even if it didn't come off Zardes' head. So, I guess we'll give him a break. But if anyone asks, it was Zardes' fault. Maybe that will make him not be on the team and not play next game. So, 61st minute, there was a good ball from Bello into Aronson. They won a corner off of. I mean, Bello was very up and down in this game. He had, points of brilliance. He had points of very bad play. I mean, that's just, it's bad. I mean, this is where having a guy like Scally would be so helpful because he has Bundesliga minutes. I mean, Bello, he's 18, he's young, but so is Scally, and he plays in the Bundesliga. Bello plays for the Atlanta United, who, I mean, has struggled this year. It doesn't really make sense to me why Scally wasn't called up, because also he is primarily a right back, but for Borussia Mönchengladbach, he played left back for the first couple games when their starting left back was hurt. So it just doesn't make any sense when you have a guy like that and you then start Bello, who didn't have a great camp, in September, didn't even have that great of a Gold Cup. I don't know. It's shocking to me, but Greg's going to be Greg, as I'm sure many of you know, that he's just going to do whatever he wants. And it's very frustrating because it seems almost as if anyone else would be doing a better job than him. I mean, he has had lots of success, which that's a whole nother topic, because I think that his success is because of individual play. I mean, he's also gotten lucky. I mean, in the Gold Cup final, Robinson scored in the 80 something, like late 80th minute. And they could have very easily lost that game. Same with the Nations League final. I mean, I don't think that should have been a penalty in the first place. He got bailed by the Horvath save. I mean, Weston was playing out of his mind. Gio was playing out of his mind. So I don't know. I mean, he wins, and he does get a lot of players that come into the USA like camp, and they're in the pool. Like Musa might not have gotten Musa if it wasn't for him. Pepe, if it wasn't for him. some other dual nationals might not be here if it wasn't for Greg Berhalter. But it just seems like he just makes so many terrible decisions. I mean, I've how do I say this? I've definitely um defended him in the past. I've defended Berhalter in the past because of his recruitment skills, because he recruited Busio as well, as to name another one. He's recruited these guys that are dual nationals that have, really high ceilings and could potentially be very good for us. But at the same time, if you don't even play them half the time, then what's the point? I mean, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I mean, obviously, I'm more frustrated right now because of how that game went, but it's so frustrating when if you just started the guys that played in the game against Jamaica. I mean, obviously Anthony Robinson can't play and Weston McKennie can't play, but the thing is you have Busio, you have De La Torre, but instead you start Leggett and Acosta, who both had very bad games. It doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, it is what it is. Greg's gonna be Greg, but I'm just hoping that some way, somehow, Greg is going to get fired. But I know he's not going to, because we have too much talent to not qualify for the World Cup. And if we qualify for the World Cup, then obviously he's gonna not lose his job. I mean, it's really frustrating, because if he just put out the right lineup every time, then I feel like we would never lose. It's crazy to me. So yeah. So let's move on off my rant of why Greg Berhalter is such a bad coach, as I'm sure everyone that will ever listen to this would agree, and everyone in U.S. soccer fans really don't like Greg. So 67th minute, Pepe Roldan Yedlin signed, was subbed on. I mean, another Greg just question mark from him, because Pepe, great substitution for his artist. Good job, Greg. You actually made a substitution that makes sense. Rolled on for Weah. I don't mind Weah coming off because he didn't do that much, but really rolled on. You have Hoppy, who can play as out on the wing. So why not bring on Hoppy? It's like, did you bring him to this camp just for him to sit there? Like, it makes no sense. Yedlin, I mean, really? That makes no sense either. We're down 1 goal and you bring in a fullback? It doesn't make any sense. Why not bring in Busio or De La Torre? I mean, it makes no sense. You have 3 subs left. You bring on 1 attacker, or Roland's kind of an attacker. And I get he was in form in the MLS for the past couple weeks, but I just think Hoppy is so much better. He's so much better of an option there. So I just have a note here that Leggett can't pass. I mean, it's bad. It just makes me so frustrated when Leggett's in the game and he essentially gives the ball up just about every single time that he has it. So yeah. Also have a note, need to move the ball much quicker, and I think that has to do with Tyler Adams being the only one that was playing okay in our midfield. I mean, Leggett could not pass the ball. Kellen Acosta could not pass the ball. I mean, it's just it's so bad. I mean, yeah, it's so bad. So then I have Roldan has looked terrible. I mean, that's not even an understatement. He looked awful. I don't think he, connected more than 3 passes. I would like to see if I can find his possession stats somewhere, because his passing stats somewhere, because I can't imagine he linked more than 3 to 5 passes out of maybe 15. Like it was really bad. Obviously, Kellen Acosta, I wrote down, has not looked good either, but I've now said that about 10 times. You don't need to hear me go into that again. In the 85th minute, yet again, Leggett cannot pass. I was just very frustrated as I was writing down these notes, because It's so bad. I mean, I remember exactly what the situation was. He got the ball and literally just launched it down the field. Aronson was in the general direction, but there was no, it was like 15 yards further away from Aronson. And yeah, Leggett can't start anymore. I mean, I don't know. I thought that Leggett starting was over. I mean, he had that good stretch of form in the beginning of 2021 where he scored a couple goals, but ever since then he has not impressed me. In the Gold Cup, didn't really play super well. So, yeah, I hope that Leggett only comes in blowouts, in the positive sense, meaning we're up. Hopefully, we don't have any blowouts where we're losing by a lot. Um, so yeah. Also, this is just a little side note to end the second half. Is I thought that we should have been given more than 7 minutes. Um, not necessarily for to start off. 7 minutes of stoppage was a pretty solid number. I was happy with that, but the ref blew the whistle at like 7 minutes and 5 seconds, and I thought that was shocking considering the one player for Panama was stretching his leg out for about 2 minutes, and they had to stop the game for another probably one with spectators storming the field. So I was kind of shocked that they didn't give at least 1 minute or 2 minutes. I think honestly, probably about 2.5 to 3 minutes in that 7 minutes of stoppage should have been added, but that's besides the point. Can't really get too worked up about that because it is, up to the ref to kind of call it when he wants. And technically speaking, it was 7 minutes. So and there was no creativeness. We didn't have any momentum, so we probably wouldn't have scored anyways. So it's just kind of an extra frustration just because we lost, and I'm just mad. Um, so post game, obviously, to wrap everything up, everything was bad about this game. Tyler Adams looked good. Walker Zimmerman looked pretty good. Other than his passing, he defended well. Didn't shy away from any challenges. I mean, obviously, I'm not really sure what happened to him at the end of the game when he started playing up top. Looked like he was a little bit hurt. Probably moved up there so he wouldn't get exposed on defense. And we kind of saw how Tyler Adams dropped into, a central defensive role. But I think he looked pretty good other than that last maybe 10 minutes where he was playing up top. Obviously, Berhalter needs to do better. Stop playing balls over the top. I mean, obviously, when you're at the end of the game, you kind of have to try to force the ball forward by playing long. But I think that um, that almost never works. I'm very highly critical of when players play the ball over the top. I mean, it really reminds me of high school soccer. Like when I played high school soccer, you play kick and run. Literally, you kick it long and have hope for someone to run onto it or to head it, and you get a lucky bounce. That's like seems like how they were playing just about the whole game, and that was extremely frustrating. Um, Need to control the midfield. I mean, it's a must. Honestly, it's a must. On Wednesday night in Columbus, we need Tyler Adams, Eunice Musa, and Weston McKennie in that midfield again. And honestly, that being said, it's really upsetting to me that Busio did not get a nod in this game. I mean, he could have made his World Cup qualifying debut, and this would have been a perfect game. If you want to give Tyler Adams that rest and McKennie's not playing, I mean, it doesn't make any sense why Busio doesn't come in or play. I mean, he should have started. I mean, Kellen Acosta and Leggett have more experience. I don't even know about in World Cup qualifying. I don't know if they were a part of that 2018 failure roster, if they got any games, but it's just it's bad. Busio should have gotten the opportunity. De La Torre should have gotten the opportunity, but he loves those MLS guys. And not necessarily anything against MLS because it's a growing league. We see success from Pepe. We see success from Miles Robinson, Matt Turner. There's guys that are good. So I'm not going to say that the MLS players should not be playing, but I don't know. Acosta Leggett should not have played that game. And I think if they didn't, we could have potentially won. I mean, we dominated last game and it was all through that midfield. So, it is what it is, but I think that midfield needs to be controlled next game. Musa, Adams, McKinney need to be in that midfield. Obviously, how do you not have the hottest striker in CONCACAF not starting? I mean, it's unacceptable, especially when he came out in the 65th, 68th minute or whatever it may be. Same with Aronson. I don't know why Aronson isn't starting either. I mean, they both were taking it out at the same time in the 68th minute, and presumably to give them rest. It's like, why you take them out if you're not even going to play them? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I think that honestly, I hate to say this because obviously the players need to be held somewhat accountable of their, poor play, because no one played well. I mean, in reality, no one played well in this game. Except for maybe Tyler Adams. Matt Turner had a pretty good game actually as well, I will say. But I don't know. Berhalter, if you make the right lineup, I think we win this game, as I'm sure many of you can agree. Just to wrap it up, because I've been rambling on and on. Just to wrap it up, that was a game that we should have won, but we didn't. So now there is more weight on the game in Costa Rica on Wednesday. I mean, that is a game where we have to start, basically the same lineup we did in Jamaica, except for maybe Weah in for Areola. So, hopefully Chris Richards also. I keep getting off topic, but hopefully Chris Richards gets a start. I mean, Walker Zimmerman and Mark McKenzie didn't necessarily play poorly. I mean, but nothing exceptional. So, we kind of have to wait and see what happens with Greg, if he gets a lot of heat in the press, and see what he says kind of from his press conference, which I'm sure he will because of his starting lineup. Because why would you make 7 chances after you completely dominate on Thursday night that was? So we'll see how it goes in the next couple days, but I'm sure that Greg Berhalter is going to get ripped up in the media, ripped up by fans. So and I am not one that is necessarily against that. So thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me rant to you. Thanks for listening to me rant to you. Let's hope for a better game on Wednesday. Let's hope Greg makes the right choices. And thank you so much for listening. Until next time, this is the Kings of CONCACAF podcast, and I'm your host,